Okay, 24 FPS because it's cinematic. It's actually quite true that most Hollywood movies they are presented as 24 FPS, but it doesn't necessarily mean if we want to make a cinematic video, we have to shoot at 24 FPS. Because in order to do a cinematic video, the sound design, the edit, the transition, or even the story, they all matter. So today, before the sun goes down, I will try my best to talk about how we can use different frame rate to create our videos. Let's go.
I'll never get tired of the enemy. Got them both pulled tight in front of me. I'm a hunter.
It turns out this beautiful building is a power station. If you don't know, 24 FPS means in 1 second video there are 24 pictures inside of it, and usually shooting at 24 FPS is enough, but sometimes when the camera moves very fast or something else, you may feel the image is kind of jittery. So in that case, you may consider 30 FPS or 50 or 60 FPS. With that frame rate, the video will be much smoother. That's why when you play computer games like the shooting, usually they are set to 60 FPS. And if you're wondering higher frame rate means much smoother, why not always using that? Well, for me it's because the file is larger and it's also difficult for the computer to process. And another thing for me is if I'm working with 24 FPS when I make the transition, there is less frame I need to work with. And talking about the editing, you can shoot at 24 60 FPS, but when you edit and export the file, you also need to create a timeline. And for that storyline, it also has different frame rate. And let's say if the storyline is 24 FPS, when you drop a video which is 24 FPS, then the speed will just be the same. And if you drop a 1 second 60 FPS video into the 24 storyline, the 1 second video will become somewhere around 2.5 second video in 24 FPS. That's the magic. And we can use this advantage to make time ramping, and that is the reason why we can shoot at a different frame rate and then put them in the same storyline to create your special video.
In front of me, I'm a hunter with an arrow in my hand. Hear the shadows follow me over the hills in the evergreen.
Freaking cold outside.
Carry on into the
Feeling much better now. If you ask my recommendation, it will be for the storyline, you can try use 24 FPS. And for the content you shoot, where at the beginning you can just shoot everything at 24 FPS, so you can just drop it inside the storyline and everything will be fine. But if you feel the video quality is a little bit jiggery or shaky, you can try create a storyline at 30 FPS and then shoot everything at 30 FPS and try put it inside the storyline, check how everything goes. For the 60 120 FPS, where you can shoot in that frame rate, but when you import the storyline, usually the sound will be messed up. So I only recommend for the higher frame rate, you reserve it for the storytelling, like you can use B-roll, but use another voice source to try to piece them together. Well, if you have seen my last week's video, you know how I'm going to end today's one with this.